ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Silly Blunt. My name's Johnny Goodtimes.
I'm Reef. This is Greg.
And we're excited to have our guest here on a Wednesday night show, a rare Wednesday nighter. We have got the one and only Mr. N.A. Poe, Nikki Allen Poe. Welcome to the program.
Welcome, Mr. Poe.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure to
What's
finally,
up, brother?
John, pleasure to finally be on here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, great to have you. A lot to cover. Let's start with the past week because, it's been pretty crazy for all of us here in Philadelphia, and I think for a lot of people all across the country. I know you made some waves this week when your new sandwich place, you said that you were not going to be serving police. And I wanted to know what the inspiration for that was and what the reaction to it was.
Well, I feel like that, so I guess it was like Tuesday of last week, and I believe that Monday was the tear gassing on the highway. I think also on Monday was when they had that kind of quote unquote vigilante thing going on down in Fishtown. And I had known a lot of like young moms and stuff like that were kind of like scared by that, etc. And then I have my own history with the PPD that's pretty extensive. They locked up my 65-year-old diabetic father too. Like, so I kind of just, bottom line is someone called the store and was like, can we buy food, for the cops? And I think that like literally I kind of just like, it just shit out of me. It was like almost like a reaction. I was like, I was like, fuck no, you can't buy food for the cops. Like, are you fucking insane? But then, that kind of like got my juices flowing. So I started like putting things into like the stories and stuff like that, and whatever. And, I guess that my sandwich shop is actually bigger than I ever was now because people don't know like me. They just know the food and shit. And then like something happens that's like near and dear to my heart, and I reacted. And I think that I guess I have a lot of people that, are supporters of the cops. So someone screenshot that shit. And then next thing I know, everywhere from fucking Rhode Island to Tijuana, I'm getting like messages called my house, and not my house, my store. I took the phone off the hook. Yelp reviews about cum and pubic hair in their food. Like I couldn't have enough cum or pubic hair for the amount of people that like.
Yeah, I saw some of them. There's a high incidence of pubic hairs. Hairs everywhere. You just throwing it in there.
I'm Italian, but relax. You know what I mean? But so that got screenshot, and then I guess it got out in a lot of groups that were from whatever side that is, and then. Next thing I know, I get home, I'm like, what a fucking day. And then Philly Mag calls me. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I got to fucking just like, kind of like, because I was cool. I thought it was playing to my audience to a certain extent, and I realized that the audience of my restaurant kind of got bigger than, the audience of my fucking crazy, stupid pot shit. And, I guess in certain ways I crossed the line, but, when I saw that was going on, like, I didn't think that, like, morally or ethically that, like, I could, like, put food in the bellies of people that were going on the street to, like, do shit like that to people that were standing up for their First Amendment rights. And I was arrested at the Liberty Bell, tackled, set up, put away for 3 days. I fucking was up at CFCF for fucking, like, more than 2 weeks where, like, I met, like, a lot of young kids. Like, I'd been in jail, but, like, being, like, locked like that for like 17 days or something like that, like all of a sudden you start bullshitting with some like young kid and I'm like, well, what happened to you? And like, with some bullshit ass thing, and then he's like sitting in there on like $250 or $500, and I'm like, dude, you should be like smoking blunts in like the fucking woods, like and chasing chicks, not like worried about like how long you've been down. And like my cellmate was sitting on 3 years on like a case, and I'm like, these are fucking people's like lives. So like for a dude that is privileged in a lot of ways, I've also seen like the wrath of police brutality, and I've seen like the wrath of people coming after people when they speak out for their First Amendment rights. And it's just kind of struck me, and I guess, but the support for it was insane. You know what I mean? Like, as insane as the other side of it was, the support in the city was insane. And then to turn around and see that many people march on Saturday and be like, well, this is how many people like feel the same way that I do. So I was kind of like, not that I was worried before, but it like solidified the fact that like, you know, that the movement has like moved to the point that it is going to get all these different kind of motherfuckers off the couch. Because I'm a radical dude, and I've been around crazy activist shit like my whole life. I mean, if you've been at my parties and stuff, like you perform there, you know. So like
music parties, right? I don't know what kind of performing Reese doing these parties. I want to make it clear, it's a music party.
And it's like, you know, I was at Occupy Philly, so I feel like, dude, like it's like I've been doing this for 10 years, and there's like one of my favorite Hunter S. Thompson's quotes is, when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. And like when this shit breaks out, like I'm just like boom. And like even the other night, another thing that was under my skin hard was I live in Fairmount, and I went outside and there was an armored tank on the fucking corner. So like my girl's yelling at me. I grab the shit because like just who I am is coming out. So I go out, I start filming. So I walk down the street and there's like 3 tanks, and I'm like, yo, dude, what's good? He's like, go in your house. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Shoot me? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right. So I look across the street, there's like 12 like dudes just like stormtroopers, and then these 3 black girls run up and they start yelling at the cops. And then they go, I turn around and literally pop, 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 pop of rubber bullets. Dude, I was literally out of my house for like 2 minutes, right? And then all of a sudden the stormtroopers across the street come like running, and they tackled the 3 black girls and they locked them up. And I don't know, from the grace of God, because if I ran out for my baby and my wife to go outside, like I threw my hands in the air, you know, and obviously I was white. They didn't know who I was. They definitely would have tackled me too. But you know, I felt white privilege like right there, you know, and you know, I feel like that I'm in a unique position in this city to be someone that like can have a voice. Like I didn't share that article. Like I'm not looking for like, that was solidarity to me, and being around a lot of POC movements for like a long time and understanding that like, hey, you know, like right now there's literature going out that's like, oh, this is how you act at a protest if you're a white person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like this is all stuff that like just being around movements, like I think that I've known for years. So like I just like I'm like I needed to, you know, just align myself. And I feel like it was extreme, you know. But at the end of the day, it's on the right side of history, and I feel like that people responded, you know, wonderfully.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that, man, because as someone that has been around this for a really long time, how are you feeling about people that are just kind of getting their feet wet with this movement in particular?
Well, I mean, dude, I came home to Rachel on Saturday. I'm like, yo, like white people are fucking pissed the fuck off. And it was like to see like moms and families and just like regular ass dudes and like gay couples to like just hold shit that just is like enough. Like, like and you saw a lot of that, dude. You saw a lot of like enough and solidarity and like, you know, the collective consciousness that was on at the Parkway in that march was like the most that I ever felt. Like I stood on the top of the art museum and I felt like there was like a direct like energy coming off. And like after months of living with like negative energy, like I just like stood there for a minute and I tried to like fucking soak it in. And then like it just started moving, you know, and then it just like went through all of the streets. And I'm just like, all the shit I've done in my whole life, that march on Saturday was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen like done. You know, and I was glad that I could be a part of it. I'm glad I could take my son to it. And I was glad that so many Philadelphians were just like, fuck this bullshit, because that, like, I love this place. And, you know, the only reason I do anything in the city is because I love it.
You see the early numbers? I think it was the cops gave NBC 10 8,500 people was an estimate of the amount of people there.
Right, it was nuts. I was filming. I was like trying to cop block, because if you're a white person at a protest, cop blocking is not a bad thing. I caught this fucking cop on the top of the steps. He's like got this long ass lens, right? It's before the march starts. And he's shooting through motherfuckers down like into like the leadership. As someone that was like targeted and taken out like that, I knew that that was a cop photographer that was like shooting inside to get like all like the things. I'm like, officer. So like there's so many elements to a protest that, I mean, like, letting everyone have their voice forward, that it's time for them to fucking speak. And then like, you know, like people for years, dude, in the pot like activism, like I would always like say to certain black people, like, dude, can you please like just like fucking like get in and like get up like this? Like, dude, like you were like this crazy white dude. They'll take me like the fuck out. And you know what? Like they're right, you know. And I think a lot of the shit that I got in trouble for, I was trying to use my privilege for everyone. I was doing my best to be like, well, you know, like, I mean, there's definitely ego involved, but also like we built a community, and then they took that fucking community out too. Dude, they wiped us off the map. You know, they wiped us off the map.
Can I ask something I've read on all the social media stuff? Whenever I see the stories or a tweet or a Facebook post or anything about you not serving cops in uniform or whatever, the reaction always is, well, what's he gonna do if he gets held up, or is he gonna call the cops when he needs them if there's a serial killer rolling through his house? You know, like.
Isn't that always where they go right away?
Yeah,
Like?
I mean, that's the first, that's the most obvious, all over and over again, that's the recurring question.
My window got broken when Pose was on Frankfurt Avenue. My window got broken. I took a picture on the security camera. I put the picture of the kid out. 4 or 5 people gave me his Twitter. He was wearing a soccer jersey that he's wearing like the profile picture on Twitter. I called the fucking cops. I'm like, yo, like I got the dude. I'm like, they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, look, just bring me cuffs, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've done all the work. Like, I know where he lives, like, whatever. Like, nothing. When's a cop come before? The only time
I was just having that conversation, man. They're there to clean up the mess. They ain't there to stop nothing.
No. It's crazy. And all the broken windows policing that they do, you know, in black communities, it puts in the position where, like, they're creating this insane, like, tension, you know? And it's just like, look, it's not necessarily my place to speak about it, but the thing is like now people are speaking about it, and it's like supporting those issues. Who would have thought like little white ladies be put to defund the police on their fucking Instagram stories? You know, like it's like Sally from Fishtown and shit. They're like burning sage in cops' faces. Like, go ahead, motherfucker.
I saw it was like a march of like a couple thousand people from like Wayne to Paoli or Paoli to Wayne. It's like,
yeah, I saw a Malvern march the other day. You know, like
what was it? What was it that, you know, because you said before, you know, you got your start with Occupy Wall Street, and that whole thing kind of fizzled out. What was it about this one that when things started to go crazy, people weren't like, oh shit, I'm out of here. People were like, oh no, now I'm really going in. Like, this could have fizzled out too, but it just got bigger and bigger and kept growing every day.
Yeah, well, I think that what I was doing is I was following like BLM, because whenever BLM started at the art museum, you knew that it was going to be like a poignant thing that's by the people that are like leading the movement, and like that's what I want to show solidarity with is that. So like every time with the art museum thing, you know you're going to have like a large thing, and that did continue to grow. And I think that people sitting at home on the news and like seeing the National Guard, like there's a lot of young families in the city now, you know what I mean? Like, and all of a sudden there's National Guard everywhere, and there's cops everywhere, and people are getting gassed on the highway, and it's just like, you know, like we don't feel like that anymore, dude. Like that's not how there's not like as much hate in people's hearts, like as you go down generationally, you know, to a certain extent. And it's just like, it just needs to be eradicated. And I hope that this is the start of that eradication and the start of everything moving forward for African Americans in this country, you know?
Absolutely.
You know, you said earlier you've had your run-ins obviously with the police, and you had a situation where, you know, you were doing these marches on the Liberty Bell, and you were kind of pushing the envelope when it came to you know, legalizing marijuana. And we're at a point now where we're getting closer and closer to legalization, and it seems like there's a lot of people still in prison for a bunch of nonsense, and you spent time in jail, as you said. And meanwhile, all these guys with khakis and button-up shirts are getting ready to make all this money off of it. How do you feel about that? And are you frustrated that that's to some extent how this thing is going to be legalized and where the money's going to go?
Well, I think that if you were to say that I was one of the leading advocates for, you know, legalization of marijuana in Pennsylvania, I don't have a medical marijuana card. That's how I feel about the medical marijuana program. And that's like a program that like I literally like fought in the streets a lot for. But guess what? What we have in Philadelphia is called decriminalization, and any motherfucker can just pretty much blaze up, and we were blazing up at protests, and people blaze all around the city. And I think that has been a great thing. It's created like a free space as far as like cannabis to a certain extent. There's a lot of great underground growing going on in Philadelphia, and there still is a little bit of a small, community. I've actually started even talking to old friends of mine that I used to do this with, because we just kind of been inspired. Like, look, let's go out and with cameras, and let's just, be around this and like document what's going on, because like it's an auxiliary job if you're, an ally right now. I mean, like, I feel bad if some like white lady grabs a microphone, you know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
You don't like the PA medical marijuana charging like $480 to $500 an ounce?
Bro, you get $250 beautiful homegrown on the street in Philly.
The prices are so crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it was a corporate cartel, and now they actually, from all the money they made off of sick people, they can now lobby in Harrisburg for legal marijuana, and then all the people that had the medical licenses are going to get the recreational licenses. I like to say that like we built the train tracks and then they drove the train over us. I mean, like, if you're worth your salt in the fucking pot activism game, you got to have been locked up at least one time. And if you did, you can't get a motherfucking job. So like, that, so it's like, okay, yeah, man, like, what I mean? Now, do I want to, like, I don't even want to like sell weed like that anyway. I sold weed for a long time, dude.
That's what I want to touch on, man. Let's go back a little bit, man. How did you become so involved in the movement, and not just the movement of legalization of marijuana, Occupy Wall Street, everything that you've been involved in from the jump? Like, what sparked that in you, and what was the catalyst for you realizing that you have a voice and you want to use it for change?
Well, it's funny. Me and Rach just watched this movie about Dick Cheney, and I'm like, dude, I remember when we protested like the invasion of Iraq, and dude, I don't even think the internet was like up and running. It was like so free. we went to like maybe dial-up shit, but we went to City Hall, and there's like 10 or 15 people there. And then when Occupy Philly broke out, I was like living in my dad's basement. So I bought a tent and I just went with a camera and I just started effing around. And in that process, I met just like you see how now 10, 11, 12 different groups are coming out to these protests. Like, it's kind of like a Super Bowl for different kinds of groups. So everyone comes out to these things, and I've learned a lot about all different types of movements, like long before like the average person did. It's like 10 years I've been dealing with people that are transgender and dealing with POC groups, and then like realizing how everyone's voice has to be their own. And my girl and a lot of girls that I worked with in activism, like, they kicked my ass and taught me like a lot of shit, because like I'm a pretty rough around the edges dude, but like now I pretty much can feel like everyone and where they're coming from, unless you got a fucking Trump hat on, you know what I mean? So I think that's cool, because I think that we have to change where we live. Philly's an amazing city. It's a big city. There's tons of arts, there's tons of culture. It might not be affecting your ass in the suburbs or Ohio or Iowa, but this is where we raise our children, and this is where I want to do business, and this is where I want to build community. And we have to fix that shit. We have to jump in there. My family says, "Oh, why you jump into a fight? Like that? Why'd you have to say that?" Like, I don't know, because it's fucking what I believe, and like I just think that at the end of the day, like, that is why I did that. So I think in the long run, everything should work out, in that way. But back to just close on what you were saying. Yeah, I definitely like when Occupy broke out, the internet was big. Everyone was meeting up there, and I met most of the people that I spent working hard in Philly for pot stuff there. So it was like everyone coming out, being able to meet their mind, and it's great to see that energy in the air again.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Philly and hats, are you wearing a Dodgers hat?
I'm wearing.
What's that about?
Yeah. I got like 50 hats, dude. No one busted AI's balls when you wear a Yankees hat over the phone.
Yeah, he's AI.
Man, we've discussed this, man. As long as it's not a direct rival.
Yeah, that's good. Reef just likes the Dodger blue. I mean, that's why he's
I got the Michelin S throwback zip up. Yeah, man, it looks good.
Yeah. Rachel's my girl. Rachel's an LA girl too, so I can rock an LA shit. But yeah, that's funny.
So how has fatherhood changed you in regards to, do you feel sort of a hesitation, or do you feel like you got to go even harder?
I mean, I feel like I got to go. See, that's funny you say that, because that's a weird thing too, because like people that are close to me that messaged me and said like, you need to do this for like Luca and shit. Like, you know, it's the truth, you know? So it was kind of a combination of things, but also like, I just think that it's changed me in ways instinctually that I would never like even, you know, I said to Rachel, when I was a little disconnected from everything going on in COVID, I'm like, dude, look, I'm a fucking dad now. I can't even explain to you how like just getting it and making sure it's all right is like the only thing in my mind. And that kind of just happened one day, and I've been rolling with it. But, you know, you have to wear like a lot of hats, you know, if you're going to be the type of person that's like dynamic, dude. Like any asshole can wake up and go to work and do their thing. Like I want to do good things, and I want things that I touch to be better when they're gone, you know, so and that personally and also, you know, in the world. So try to do it like that.
Yeah. I like how, you know, you were an activist for marijuana, and you made a major impact there. You know, you're doing the activism with Black Lives Matter, and that's, you know, obviously that movement is headed in the right direction. But when you ran for,
did you just throw your cat though?
But when you ran for office, you were going to abolish the PPA. I'm guessing that campaign has not gone as well as the other campaigns. I feel like that's the one that will never get overthrown.
No, and you know what? Now would be the fucking time. You know what I mean? Like, let's go get this motherfucker.
Right? Can't that be a continuation? Come on.
Yeah.
We've been living without the PPA for like 2 months.
They're still walking around. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
the city can survive 2 months. I haven't been around.
My whole life, I'm like, dude. And this is the way I look at it, though. If you don't look back at shit you did and like be like kind of embarrassed like a little bit, then it means that you're not growing. Like now I walk like Luca by the school district. I'm like, dude, you went there and like smoked a fucking joint like on the front step of like that. I'm like, who was advising me? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think I did a lot of outlandish shit, and I think that like, you know, if you don't look back and be like, well, it also made me who I am. So if I would have just stood in my little sandwich shop and fucking did like whatever. Like it would probably have been the right thing. Like, you know, if you say, hey, I'm just thinking of my family, but like, I ain't ever going to change, because like who I am is built of all the things that like have brought me to this point. And like, you can't deny those, good or bad, you know, and I just want to just continue to move forward. And maybe I'll run for city council again, dude, at some point, you know, like I'm a business owner, father now, but I'll be a fucking homeowner. I just bought a fucking car.
Probably won't get endorsed by the FOP, I would think.
No.
Well, let me.
I don't think Nesby's got your back.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what did you learn in that process, man? Because you know, I have people that are, you know, we're looking at the AOCs and different people that like you never thought that they could run and win, and like we're seeing more and more people that are able to do it. So, what did you learn in that process?
Well, I learned that, especially in this city, you got to be like super, super connected, but also like you can take from Trump that like grassroots organizing like can still be done, because like who the fuck saw that coming, right? But like there's like a bunch of people in all these fucking corny ass flyover states like manipulating these people into being like, nah, just be quiet, just show up this day and do that. No, be quiet, just show up this day and do that. So I feel like, you know, there is a certain amount of like, you can get this underground flow. Like I got 4,400 votes 5 years ago when I was on fucking federal probation. You know what I mean? Like, like the demographic of the city is changing, but I really feel like that city council in general is just getting to be such like a crusty old group of like motherfuckers that like, why shouldn't guys like Reef and me and other people that are young and represent the city and want to do good things? Because guess what? We don't have the fucking labor union in our pocket. We don't have like this. Like maybe if you put that in the hands of young people that were forward thinking and got that old guard out that's in with the cops, in with the electricians, in with these people, in with that people, if you want to start a new world, you need to break down like all that institutional shit as far as government too, because there's motherfuckers on city council that have been indicted and they still like just get reelected. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like Kenyatta Johnson as well, dude. Like Kenyatta Johnson's one of the worst. You know what I mean? Like these cats are like been pillaging like our city for like so long. And now, you know what? Jim Kenney can suck it now too. So like, you know, can't come to pros either, fucko.
And they keep, like you said, they just keep getting reelected. Like me and Johnny were having this conversation earlier, Greg as well, but like, it just feels like we just keep voting blue or whatever. And like, these guys aren't really doing anything for us.
No, they're just
how amazing would it be within 2 or 3 years if you had 8 to 10 people that were under 45 on city council? I think you'd have some fucking new ideas. I think that money would get reappropriated, and I think they'd be really scared. You know what I mean? So, you know, we need to push for that. That takes everyday work. That takes, you know, coalition building. So, I mean, I'm up for it.
Yeah. Did you have was there any pushback where you were like, oh shit, this is a little bit scary? Like, you're going up against City Hall.
Because I clown that shit like so hard. Like, and that's the thing, when people take like Poe seriously, like, it's like, dude, it's like, you just don't get it, do you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, definitely it is serious, right? But it's also pointing out most of the absurdity of like what's actually going on than it is actually like trying to do that. But maybe at some point I'd want to like strap it on and actually be like, all right, motherfucker, I can buy a nice suit, right? And I could talk to you about all the shit. Like, you know, it was like, I think in that campaign, I said I was going to rename Broad Street Allen Iverson Boulevard. But I will say, out of all that campaign shit, pot was decriminalized. You know, and I think that at the end of the day, as an activist, you're not going to get many wins. And that was like a win. And I think it was a win for everyone. And I think that, you know, it's Black Lives Matter's turn to like kind of get their shot to make sure that like city government and city services and all that shit is like done correctly, instead of just having like neighborhoods occupied by bored cops that don't live in the city.
Let me ask you, speaking of Black Lives Matter, in reference to the pot movement, like, what is your thoughts on the fact that there are so many kids in jail because of pot, and now you're about to see people making billions of dollars? How do we rectify that? How do we make that right? What's the move for that?
You trying to Elon Musk me, motherfucker? No, he got crushed on that. No, because Elon said that the other day, and he got
Did he?
on. Yeah. Well, because the thing is,
trust me, I don't know nothing. I don't have any idea.
Oh, stop it! You're always talking about you want to get a Tesla. You're like all over Elon, dude.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, listen. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that. Yeah, as someone, I'm a felon. You know what I mean? So, like, if I didn't run my own business, like, I'd probably have major issues with getting like a job, you know, to support my family. And I feel like there was a lot of groups that were working with like longtime felons, because dudes in the 70s got put away for like 40 years. Like my friend Bobby Platshorn in Florida, he did 35 years federal time. He was there's a book about it called The Black Tuna Diaries. And there's a movie called Square Grouper. And old head cat from Florida going down to Central America, bringing pot. They hit him with like some kingpin statute, 40 some odd years. He got out in like 35. Guy's the pot activist now, if you believe it. But yeah, there's a lot of people locked up, and there's a lot of people that the records are, you know, it's an issue. And I'd like to think that too, like decriminalization, like I got popped for weed when I was like 18, and it was a bunch of bullshit in my life. Like maybe a lot of kids aren't getting locked up for pot. Maybe that's like one step away from them being able to like not have to deal with that bullshit, because there's a lot of fucking people in jail that, and dude, being at CFCF, like that's when I saw like what like prison was like, and how like it was like a game to like sick people, like to a certain extent, because like how could you not have compassion like for, I don't know, just the prison system doesn't treat people like it's like they have lives, and no one gets to see it, so you never fucking know, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like everyone should drop acid, work in a restaurant, and do a weekend in jail, and I think there'd be a lot more empathy in the world.
Yeah, for sure. How did you get
That's a hell of a week, yo.
Yes, all in 1 week.
How'd you get these sandwich skills?
A lot of the stuff was Italian, so like I had like my grandma's like shit for that, and then, you know, just from years of being like a stoner, I wanted to make all different kinds of stuff, so I kind of just like mixed them all up, dude. Like, and just I had a chef that helped me out. That he came out with the house ranch sauce. I got to give him to that like people love, and a couple other things. But I just kind of, you know, I knew that Sarcone's was a great bakery. I knew that I had all this money buried in the backyard, and I couldn't go back to selling weed. So I just.
So I gotta bust your stones a little bit, because that was one of the all-time just mind-bending weeks. You got named Best of Philly by Philly Mag, and 2 days later you said, "All right, guys, we're closing up shop. We're done." And I was like, "Wait, what? I've never seen that happen before." So what happened there?
Well, I signed an NDA on that piece of business.
Okay.
My man is serious with it.
See, he did business with Bloomberg, apparently.
Listen, man, I'm trying to be a fucking grown up. I'm 40. I'm giving it a shot.
Okay.
But yeah, there was definitely a tumultuous time in my life, and I had the baby was young, and it was just really like kind of a crazy time. And then I got really lucky going over, at Human Robot, which they're amazing guys and they have amazing beer over there. So, and there's a great community over there. They're building up like Fifth and Cecil B. Moore. There's a group called Sunflower Philly that has this crazy like in-ground park that they're doing and stuff, and it's really cool. I'm like really like interested in giving it a shot, because like Fishtown's so like played out over there, but Kensington, like I feel like you can like build and grow, and now that we have the movement going in the direction that's going, I think that there's going to be more stuff allocated to the community. And I think that the more people that own businesses, like we should also, like, you want to be socialist, like 3 hours a week, do something in your community. You know what I mean? Like help people out, like grab a fucking rake, like whatever, and I think that I live in Fairmount, and my neighbors, most of them aren't from Philly. And when we moved in here, Rachel wanted to make them cookies, and like none of these motherfuckers even said hello to us. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like like say what you want about something to Philly. Like I say what's up to crackheads, dude. Like you know what I mean? Like Philly people fucking just kind of bullshit with each other.
I wanted to touch base on that with you, because so many of your events were like, you did shit in West, Frankfurt, like is that something that you were conscious of, trying to not just do the Fishtown, Old City, Center City shuffle?
Yeah, well, we met the people up at One Arts, and we really just like hit like value wise, with them and what they're doing, and that outdoor space was just so beautiful. I mean, dude, like the party you performed at, like that place was just magical with the stage.
Yeah.
And
is it shut down? Is it still around or no?
Well, they're actually having some problems right now. We're helping them out a little bit, and I think there's a great thing going on in West Philly right now. All these chefs got together and they're doing food, because West Philly was already a fucking food desert, and now like it's ravaged. So like it's great to see people, like that's where I want to throw my money, and people have been sending money to Pose, and we're just moving forward. They're cooking for a cause, it's called. And it's great. It's great to see, because what you're going to see now is you're going to see the best and worst of people, and it's going to be easy to align. You know what I mean? Like, so if you see people doing good, and it's the first time you've never been out of your house, you've never been to a protest, you've never been to a community meeting, like, dude, go out and meet people, and just like try to put the differences that they try to make that we have, like, let's just make them realize how much they don't mean shit to us, because that's how I feel about it. Like, this is about Philly, like it's about everywhere, but this is where the fuck we are. So like I figure like that I know a lot of people that are willing to lend a hand, and I look forward to the future. I think it'll be bright if we all get together and just try to do what's best for everyone, best for the city.
Nice. All right, we want to take it to the blunt.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so we are going to hit you with some rapid fire questions, and
I'm just stuck in this pen for like 40 minutes. Go ahead.
You hit us with some rapid fire answers. What song makes you want to dance?
Justify My Love by Madonna.
What is the best sandwich at your shop that you personally love the most?
I would say, did I say Justify My Love by Madonna? No.
You did. You did. You can't take it back, bro.
Yeah, too late.
I like the Skinny Joey. It's roast pork, horseradish mayo, sharp provolone, broccoli rabe, and long hot pepper.
Whew. I want that right now, man.
Yeah, right.
Do you love or hate Tom Hanks?
I don't know. I'm not big. I'm not a big Tom Hanks guy at all. Not at all.
Perfect. I've been waiting. You're the first guy who's lined up with me.
If he asks this question every episode, it's starting to like.
Yeah, come on.
I heard rumors he's a pedo too. Go ahead, move on.
Worst job you ever had?
Bad. No, hold on. I used to go. My dad was a plumber, and he would send me out with other plumbers, and I just had to spend the day with like guys call me fuckface and all day long, you know. And like eventually, it's just like, I don't know. They're like, just go sit in the truck. You're worthless, kid.
What is the most ridiculous name of a strain that you ever heard? Where you're just like, dude, you made this up like 10 minutes ago.
I don't know right now, dude, but yes, I fucking agree with that.
Right? Like it's just like, yo, this is marshmallow candy cake.
Yeah, I shared a meme like that today on the Pose page. It was like, I love when people that love weed are like, doesn't it smell like caramelized chocolate, like strawberries? Like, no, it just smells like weed. Like,
what's something you'd like to change about yourself?
Less chest hair, bro. Look at this. Hold on, bro. Like a Burt Reynolds.
It's a good yeah, it's a good look.
Who would you most want to smoke a joint with, living or dead?
Probably Tom York from Radiohead. Radiohead.
What is something that you would give advice about love and relationships? I ask this for everyone. Short and sweet advice.
What about love and relationships?
Yep.
Wear a condom or make sure the girl you're with is on birth control.
Yo, you don't like your kid, bro?
No, listen.
You might be listening, man.
You don't like your kid, bro?
I'm gonna lose even more business. Who's this gonna alienate?
This guy won't serve cops in the agency.
I hope no one's listening to this.
So I saw on Twitter you follow Sasha Grey. Was she better in Homo erectus or Entourage?
Wow. I'm gonna say Entourage.
You can book any band or artist for your birthday party this year. Who's it gonna be?
Reef the Lost Cause.
Nice.
Coolest Nikki besides you.
Coolest Nikki besides me? Wow. Nikki 6 from Motley Crue.
Oh, like it.
Yeah.
I was thinking you was gonna go with Scarfo, but I like it.
Well, you're right.
Do you do boxers, briefs, commando, boxer briefs? The ladies want to know.
Jesus Christ. I went to commando for a really long time, so I started grouping. So now I'm on like those tight long ones with the
yeah, I got you. Boxer briefs, yeah.
Yeah. Order me some more of those, honey. That's where I am in my fucking life.
Where are you getting takeout?
I'm going to R&D Philly a lot for takeout cocktails. They're really good, and I've been heading over to Pizza Gut, and Pizza Gut's probably my go-to place. Okay. I'm around this shit. I eat like 40 Sarcones rolls a week. Like I'm so sick, but the bread's so like good and fresh that like, you know, I eat a lot of sandwiches, but like they're not. It's just like some pickles and cheese on a roll and shit. Like that's where I am with my food.
Yeah, right.
What should take the place of the Rizzo statue?
You know, I don't know. Like, I'm not really big on fucking statues because they all seem like mistakes, like later on and shit. Unless you want to go on any
Did you see Columbus Columbus get beheaded up in Boston?
Like, bro, throw AI up there. Like, can't we all agree on Iverson as being like,
I think so.
Know, being like you know, kind of monumental to Philly? I don't know, but yes, I don't believe that shit.
Who would you like to play you in your biopic?
Fuck. Adrian Brody probably be a good one.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
All right, throw us.
Or if they want to fucking DH Pacino back to like 72, that'd be great.
Yo, 70s Pacino, dog? Like, yeah.
Little dog day afternoon.
I'm going to smoke my weed. You motherfucker.
All right, get your leg out of the way and give us your socials. Where can we find you?
Glad he dressed up for the blunt.
Yeah. Where can we find you? Where can we find you? Where can we find
Get your plug on, Nikki.
Yeah.
Poe Sandwich Joint on Instagram. And that's it, man. Just go to my restaurant, look at the goddamn food, man. You know, I just want to feed people. I want them to be happy.
Okay, so you're doing takeout and everything right now?
Yeah, we're doing takeout. We have been for a while. The one thing that was great about the window that we had at the old place was that when COVID hit, it was like, all right, just open the motherfucking window again. And like we started throwing food out of it again.
Right.
You know, we're really looking forward to Human Robots bar getting back at when they make great beers, and you know, hopefully that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. So you guys should all come down at some point, have some beers, hang out, check out the community park.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, you gotta tell me twice.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks, Poe.
Dude, I had a lot of fun with you guys.
Yeah.
Peace, Poe.
Take it easy.